The release of Mass Effect Andromeda is right around the corner, and there's a lot of things to know about it. I'm Andrew, the new guy, and today in gameranx, we're here to talk about 10 things you need to know about Mass Effect Andromeda. Starting off at number 10, in Mass Effect Andromeda, you'll be playing as one of the Ryder twins, a Pathfinder and part of the Andromeda Initiative. The Andromeda Initiative launched in 2185, right after the events of Mass Effect 2 before the Reaper invasion, and is made up of 4 arcs, each carrying thousands of individuals from different races to the Andromeda Galaxy to find a new place to colonize and set up a reliable, safe route back to the Milky Way Galaxy. There is a little bit more that can be said about it, but I'm sure you'd rather learn about that on your own. This is kind of a soft reboot for the series, but not really. Commander Shepard does exist, but it serves more as a great jumping on point if you haven't played any of the past 3 games in the series. So you shouldn't be scared to play this if you've never touched Mass Effect before. This is the perfect time to jump in. And up next, on number 9, Andromeda will have a multiplayer mode packaged in. It kind of plays like Horde mode, and up to 4 players will work together to complete objectives while taking on waves of enemies. You do get to customize your character. You'll have a choice between 25 different character kits, each including different species, with each kit having its own skills and abilities. You'll also customize your loadout with different weapons from different galaxies. There are over 40 weapons at launch, and any character from any class can use them. You'll also be able to upgrade and modify your weapons and equip different boosters that will give additional abilities. There is going to be microtransactions, but no real money is required. You will be able to unlock stuff just by playing. Then there's the strike team part of the multiplayer. From a kiosk on the Tempest, you'll be sending strike teams on missions that will yield rewards for single player. And these can be played without engaging in any multiplayer whatsoever, or you can take part in a multiplayer battle against other players. I think it's really interesting that the multiplayer isn't just tacked on, and it does affect your single player campaign, even if it is in the most minuscule way. Next up, at number 8, I think it's safe to say that one of the biggest noticeable changes in this game is the combat. And I'm not saying that it looks completely different, it still looks like Mass Effect combat, but it just seems like the next logical step if the developers were trying to make it a little bit more actiony. At its core, it's still a cover-based shooter, but with some new things thrown in to get you moving around the battlefield a bit more. First off, the cover system has been reworked. You can take cover behind almost anything, including your Nomad, and this helps to make the battlefield seem a little less as an obvious setup for combat. And I think you know what I mean. You won't be walking into an area thinking to yourself, oh, I guess I'm shooting dudes now, because this is totally set up to do that. The jetpack is also a new addition, which will let you do a quick dash instead of rolling, and it will also boost you into the air so you can hover and get a better vantage point on enemies that may be hiding behind cover. And of course, you'll also have your squad who you'll be issuing orders to. And one of my favorite changes to the combat system is the fact that the class system is gone. Now you can mix and match skills from all class types and really build your own playstyle and experiment a bit. But you can still focus on one type of class, and you will unlock bonuses for it if you choose to do so. You'll also be able to reconfigure your points throughout the game, so you won't be stuck with however you decided to spend them. So they really do leave it open for you to kind of play as you want and kind of build your own combat style. Next up at number 7, for Andromeda, BioWare did away with the Paragon Renegade system, which is honestly something I thought worked fine in a game like Knights of the Old Republic because of the whole Sith and Jedi thing. With that, it's kind of hard to fall in the middle. But with a game like Mass Effect, I always felt silly having to kind of be good or bad, and I think it stopped you from being your own Commander Shepard. With Andromeda though, it's just choices, simple, more subtle choices, and each choice works towards creating your own rider. There isn't a meter that will be bouncing back and forth. You can agree or disagree with a character without being back into a Paragon Renegade type mold, and instead there are different tones you can take that are broken down into heart, head, professional, or casual, which is kind of like how Horizon Zero Dawn approaches decisions, but I'm sure Andromeda will be on a whole other level with it. Interrupts are also back, but are now called narrative actions, and just like your choices, these actions are no longer blue good or red bad. It's just a choice that you can make. And I think this is awesome. The choices really aren't on rails, and you can have a rider that is professional when they need to be, or sarcastic asshole when it calls for it, and you can also make a wrong decision and live with the consequences without being a straight up bad guy. And for a game like Mass Effect, where it's all about building your character and having relationships, this is the best way to make it a little bit more realistic. Next up at number 6, you'll have a Land Rover in Andromeda called the Nomad, and it seems like you'll be spending a good amount of time in it, which could be good or bad. I guess it all depends on your feelings about the Mako from the first Mass Effect. When you're exploring a planet, you'll call it down from a forward station, and then you can use it to start covering ground. It's also fully upgradable. For example, some of the upgrades you can get are 6-wheel drive, enhanced shields, handbrake, and a boost. While you're exploring, you will run into vendors, and these vendors will sell blueprints that you can use to upgrade the Nomad. Upgrades will require mining and collecting materials, which can be done on the planet's surface with the Nomad. The way mining works is you'll be driving around the planet looking for mining zones, and then when you find one, you'll have to pull up your mining computer. The computer kind of looks like a seismic graph, and you'll have to reposition the Nomad until your graph indicates that you'll get the most amount of materials. Then you call down a mining drone, and then you're on your way. I know that most players hated the Mako in the first Mass Effect, and I get it, but I wish BioWare just kind of reworked it for Mass Effect 2 instead of just taking it away completely, so I'm really excited we're getting the Nomad in Andromeda. And next, at number 5, just like the Normandy before it, the Tempest will act as your base of operations and where you'll be spending a good amount of your time. It's here you'll be able to walk around and talk to your crew, which I won't get too much into. Part of the game is meeting and learning about them, so I'll leave that up to you. There's also a loadout station where you can customize your weapons, armor, and your squad. The Tempest has a lot to be seen, and thankfully there are no loading screens as you move around it. And it's from the Tempest that you'll travel from planet to planet, and BioWare has made it a more seamless experience. While you aren't piloting the ship yourself, you will get the feeling of traveling to wherever it is you're going. There are other little things that you can take part in the Tempest that we'll learn more about once we get our hands on the game. And at number 4, your Rider Twin will have access to a scanner that's going to play a big role in how you play the game. Maybe scan blood and create a trail to follow, and scanning certain things to further the story. You'll also be able to scan different types of plants, equipment, and some of these scans will actually lead to new upgrades and new improvements for your gear. And seeing that you're in a brand new galaxy, it makes sense that you would be running around scanning everything. You want to learn as much as you can about this new galaxy. And I've seen this scare some people, and it is understandable. Me, personally, as long as there is text or audio files to scan that can give you a bit more of story, I'm fine. I loved listening to all the audio logs in Horizon, just to learn that much more about the world. Next up at number 3, as you already know, you can customize your character to look however you want. But Ian Fraser, the lead designer on Andromeda, posted some tweets that gave us a little more information on the customization. First off, he confirmed that your Rider Twin can be of different ethnicities, which is really cool, and he also tweeted about how you'll get to customize each Rider Twin first choosing which one you want to play as. And this automatically makes me think of the character customization in Fallout 4. And another thing he confirmed is that how you go about making the Rider Twins look will have an effect, up to a certain point anyway, on how Alec Rider, your father, will look. We still don't know how big of a role your father and twin play in the game. Maybe your twin is on a different ship, or he's lost in space, or maybe even becomes a bad guy, but we do know that they will be a part of the story. And next up at number 2, BioWare is fully aware that the relationships in the Mass Effect series are what most players really love about the game. So for Andromeda, they made sure to really get it right. Every single character that you can romance wants something different to come from it. Some will want a serious relationship, while others will only want to fool around with no strings attached, and others may not be interested at all because of your gender or just because they're not interested. BioWare really went big with the amount of dialogue options available. A member of your squad that has the least amount of lines actually has more lines than the squad mate in Mass Effect 3 that has the most amount of lines, which is insane. That's so much dialogue. BioWare really wants you to build these relationships how you see fit. It's not going to be like the other games where there's an obvious way to enter a relationship. So your Rider Twin can really be themselves and be different than every other player's. And finally, at number 1, for all those PC players out there, a BioWare employee by the name of Devin Garner confirmed via Twitter that with a single 1080 Ti, you'll be able to hit 4K with 60 frames per second, which is great to hear. Also, for any PS4 Pro owners, Andromeda will take advantage of the extra power that machine has to offer. It'll have crisper visuals and will support HDR, which can sometimes work wonders all on its own. Also, as a really quick bonus point, we can't not acknowledge the painfully goofy and awkward facial animations that have been popping up since the newest previews. Mass Effect has always had some wonkiness to it, but this might be on a whole new level. I mean, holy shit, some of these are just way too good. Anyway, just wanted you to be aware. And those are 10 things you need to know about Mass Effect Andromeda, but we want to hear from you guys. Meet us down in the comments and let us know what you think. Are you guys excited for Andromeda? And how do you feel about having a Mako-esque vehicle to drive around it? As I'm sure you already know, hitting that like button really does help us out, and we also put videos up like this every single day, and the best way to see them is with a subscription to the channel. Once again, I'm Andrew the New Guy, and I'll see you all next time, right here on gameranx.